Okay, we're quick with it. Sweet. Yeah, thanks for showing up, guys. We hopefully have a pretty good Zoom plan for you today. So, actually a little unplanned, but this should be a good phone call. Joey's going to be jumping on the call or on a three-way call with another wholesaler and a seller. So this wholesaler just does cash, doesn't really know sub two that well. So Joey's going to jump on the line with their seller, explain subject to, all that good stuff. Hopefully get a deal locked up live right in front of you. What's your ETA on that, Joey?
Oh, I was waiting for a call.
So he's just waiting for a call right now. But yeah, that should be pretty sweet. Hopefully we can show you guys live objection handling, and we'll see, maybe get a verbal and maybe get a contract signed by the end of the day. So that's one thing we have planned today. The other two things, we actually just kind of want to go back to the basics and just show you guys what a deal looks like. We get sent a lot of different stuff every day through our lead form and email and Facebook, and we kind of want to just go back to the basics and point people to this video as a reference of like, here's what we're looking for, here's what we think a good lead, a good deal looks like, what the difference between a deal and a lead is, because we hear that very often, like, I have a deal is just a lead. So a deal I would consider is a locked up contract that you have interested buyers on. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll do my normal intro too, just in case we have any newcomers in here. So first off the bat, let me go ahead and share this, not this. Well, I don't know what that is. Sweet guys. Well, yeah, we have our very own Facebook group. If you guys didn't know, it's called Herd of Profits. We have 2,300 members and growing. We have, private money lenders, contractors, agents, boots on the ground, private money lenders, all in the Facebook group, high level sub two students, leaders, transaction coordinators across the country. So just another resource to add to your guys' tool belt if you're looking for help in any way, looking for deals to sell, deals to buy, private money lenders, boots on the ground. Feel free to join the Facebook. On top of that, if you go to the featured tab, we have our deal submission forms here, direct to agent, direct to seller, the dispo form if you already have a deal locked up, all that good stuff. And then we go live on YouTube every single week. So if you guys aren't subscribed to Angie, you're slacking. I know Rachel's going to drop the links. Yep, she did. She just did. Everything that I'm talking about is in the links that Rachel just posted it. She has Angie's profile picture, but that is Rachel. So you can find Facebook, YouTube, our affiliate links. You can become a sub two student if you're interested in that as well.
Yeah.
So definitely make sure you guys come in and check out the YouTube.
Yeah.
If you're interested in learning more about subject two, one of my favorite videos that we've done is getting into the weeds of subject two. It's this one with the green screen right here. So come check that video out. And then last but not least, we have our own Discord server. So this is really where we're trying to grow a community. It's called Reps Real Estate Problem Solvers. That's like our trademark name of our company. That's what you see in our backgrounds here. Reps Real Estate Problem Solvers. So just another great place to connect, get help if you need. We have a virtual office every Tuesday and Thursday. We have videos here for you guys to check out. We have, again, the links here for the Tuesday Zoom links and all our different forums as well, upcoming meetups. Everybody's Instagram is in here, all that good stuff. So check out the Discord, tap into that. And yeah, are you ready, Joey, or no? Okay, so he's still waiting. So let me just touch on too real quick. If you guys are interested, if you're out there calling sellers, calling agents, whatever you're doing, if you're trying to do this real estate thing and you're a little bit new to it, or maybe if you're just new to the creative finance wholesale world, we have our own JV program. So if you have a lead that you're working on and you're like, I don't know how to underwrite this, I don't know how to structure a sub two offer, I don't have a contract, I don't have buyers for sub two deals, whatever the case may be. If you're direct to agent and it's just a lead, it's not locked up yet, you can submit it to our direct to agent lead form. Again, this doesn't need to be locked up. It could just be a lead that you're working on. We do encourage you to at least have had a conversation with the agent. So don't just send us on market deals where you've never talked to anyone. Same thing, direct to seller. So if you're talking to an off market direct to seller, you can submit the lead there. Or if you have a deal locked up and you need help with finding a buyer, we have a very good high level dispo program. So I have a few wholesalers that I work with where they don't do dispo at all. It's not their expertise. They don't like doing dispo. They're good at hitting the phones with sellers and agents. Anytime they get a deal locked up, they send it to us to help dispo because they know we have ready-made buyers. We also have cartel mode on Investor Lift. So there's maybe, if any of you guys are familiar with Investor Lift, well, first of all, Investor Lift is, I would say, like the Zillow for wholesalers. It's the largest platform that wholesalers can post their deals on and find buyers. There's over 5 million verified buyers with proof of funds that have bought deals before on there, and they're actively buying deals every day. So we have cartel mode, which there's different modes as the wholesaler you can buy, but basically the lowest mode there is maybe $5,000 a year. So it's still pretty pricey. Up to cartel mode, which is the highest. There's only 50 people nationwide that have cartel mode, and we have it. It's about $70,000 a year. And we have that for you guys. So if you have a deal locked up and you're like, hey, I can't find a buyer, I don't have time to find a buyer, I don't want to find a buyer, send it to us and we can get it posted on Investor Lift for you and just JV. My guy Billy Prince, he sends me every deal he locks up because it's way more worth his time to just get a lead locked up, push it to me, and then he's on the next one trying to not lock up the next deal. So it really slows wholesalers down when you're a one-man or two-man operation. Getting a deal under contract is really maybe 25% of the battle. Now, opening escrow, hiring a transaction coordinator, finding a buyer, marketing, and then getting it closed is the other 75% of it that most wholesalers don't know about. That's the hard part of it. So if you're just interested in just locking deals up, that's what you're good at. We want to keep you doing that. So if you have a deal where you think, there's a pretty good spread on it, definitely feel free to submit it to the dispo form, and that could be cash or creative. It doesn't need to just be a sub-2 deal. So, Debbie asks, where do we go to get these links? Debbie, you must have sneezed, but no worries. So they're going to be in the Discord. So the links to that were just posted above. If you scroll up, you should be able to see the Discord right there. And then also in the Facebook group as well, right here. So if you just come to the feature tab, it's this very first one, new form links, direct to agent, direct to seller, dispo form right there. That's where you're going to find them.
Thank you very much.
Sweet. Thanks, Debbie.
He's good. He just wants me to just call it.
Okay. Okay. So Joey's just going to call the seller right now. So let's see if he gets an answer. Stand by for 1 second, guys. Stand by for takeoff.
Hey, Carol. Hey, Carol, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, it's Joey. Did Dom tell you I'd be giving you a call?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yes. I don't know if he told you much, but I'm kind of his go-to guy. We're sort of partners in the real estate area. He just does a lot of cash deals. I do a lot of creative. Um, can you kind of catch me up to speed of your guys' last conversation and kind of where you're at?
Well, yeah, basically told him that, we have a mortgage of 135,000, give or take $200, and that we would need 146,000 in order to even consider selling the house. We are planning to relocate closer to my partner's work, and we have to have a down payment for a house there.
Okay,
So,
gotcha. Do you know like what down payment you do have to come with? I assume you're grabbing another FHA, so like 3%.
yeah, not really sure, but we figure if we have $11,000 that we should be able to make it work.
Okay. Okay, awesome. And I know, and I can definitely get $10,000 in your pocket. Because just looking at the numbers, if you were to list for 146, you would actually, because in America it takes usually 8 to 11% to sell your property on market. With selling at 146, you actually might lose money or break even. Um,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, so if we did it,
It's worth more than that, so.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
So what I can do is I can just put that 10,000 in your pocket, help you go get that, the other down payment that you need, and I'll just take over those mortgage payments. And I know Dom said you were worried about, well, how am I going to grab another loan if I have this loan under my name? Um, and we have many ways to get around that. Actually, most of the properties I buy like this, my seller has to go buy a new house. And I'll even put in the contract, if I can't get you into a new home to close before we close, I'll cancel my contract. Um, and there's two different ways we can do it. One is I just get on the phone with your new lender and I kind of just explain to them, hey, I'm taking over the mortgage payments, subject to she's no longer responsible for this mortgage. And sometimes that works. You'd be surprised. I mean, I would say one out of every 3, 4 times that works. If that doesn't, and the underwriter needs more, information, what I'll do is I'll sign a lease with you. It's called a lease option. So I'll still give you the $10,000 as a down payment. And what that lease does is it shows your new lender, hey, Harold's not responsible for this payment anymore. Somebody else is going to be paying it, right? I'm leasing the property, and that will now qualify you to get into your new house. So you can close.
In our name.
Correct, but it's called a departing residence, right? So if you were to just rent the property and show your new lender that, hey, somebody else is making the payment, it comes off your debt to income and you can go grab another loan.
Okay. I need to discuss this with my partner, because
Of course.
he's the one on the mortgage and we're both on the title, but I know he wasn't that crazy about, going that route, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
The benefit to you this way is that you can actually make that 10,000 and don't have to sit on market and get a bunch of lowball offers, or, you finally get an offer, 60, 70 days down the road and you find out after all commissions and fees that you break even. Whereas we can get this done in like 2 to 4 weeks. I always say 30 days just to, keep a good timeline, but I can close faster than that most of the time. Um, and the benefit, like I said, is you get the 10,000, you can go get into your new house, and you don't have to deal with all the headache that comes with listing that property.
Yeah, we don't plan to list it. We're not that desperate to list it.
Yeah,
So I'm taking notes while we're talking, so.
yeah, and I can shoot you over all this info as well. Um, it'll be like a breakdown of my offer. It will show how I can get you into the new house and my frequently asked questions page. But like I said, we can definitely get you into a new house in 30 days or less, if you have one picked up, right? But we always work on your timelines.
One pick up. We haven't got to look.
Okay. What made you want to sell? What's kind of your reasoning?
Because we want to relocate closer to our work. He
Okay.
has a 45, 50-minute drive every
Oh,
day.
wow.
Yeah, and we would like to relocate to the town where his work is.
Okay.
And so, that's the only main reason. Well, that's the only reason we're considering relocating.
Okay. What town is that?
Yeah, Aiken
Okay.
went South Augusta now, and then Aiken's about 45-minute drive.
Okay. I was like, I need to look at my inventory, but I may have a house that you could get into over there in Aiken. I just have to take a
Yeah.
look. But I mean, it sounds like if we could get you this $10,000, we could get you into a new house. Does it sound like you'd be able to move forward with something creative like this?
Yeah, I mean, depending on, what Phil says about doing the financing this way.
Yeah.
It would be really helpful if you could, shoot me an email or a text with, just your offer is.
Yeah, of course. And let me see. I don't have your email. What is a good email?
It's, Carol, Carol, B as in boy, 34982 gmail.com.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just curate a letter of intent. It'll just kind of spell out our offer. I'll put all that info in there of how this creative transaction works. But yeah, right, our credibility letter, so you can see that where I'm not just, some joker giving you a call trying to buy your house. You don't know anything about me. And you could call my past sellers, my past agents, title companies, all that, of recent transactions we've done in my credibility letter. And also, like I said, that frequently asked questions page that should answer most of your questions about a creative sale like this.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll just shoot that over to you. And like I said, we can definitely get you into another house. So what I think on your side, I guess your homework to go do is go find a house that you want to move into, and let's see if we can get the ball rolling.
Okay, yeah, and once he takes a look at that and, we would need at least 45 days. to
Okay.
get moving, that. Cause he's working full time and, it just would take us some time to get packed up. I'm disabled, so I can't do a lot to help.
Okay.
So it falls on him.
I got you.
So, but yeah, it sounds like an interesting proposition to me.
Yeah, and I just have pictures of when you bought it. I know you bought it last year. Is it kind of,
They're the same.
it's the same? Okay.
The only thing we added was we had to put in a new sewer line.
Okay.
And, we had that done about a week or two after we moved in.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the floors need work, but. It's a comfortable house. It's got that big workshop out back.
I was about to ask about that. I was like, what is that, like a shop in the back? What is that? Like ADU?
It's a garage, but really uses it as his machine shop. And then previous owners or someone previously had added on an extra room. So we use that just for storage. But it could be, like a family room, or I guess it's got a lot of different options for use.
Yeah.
But it's a concrete block building.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, the property looks beautiful. It looks like it's right up our alley of our buy box. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get this email going and I'll shoot it over to you within the next, hour. I have to jump on another call, but when is a good time you want me to follow up? I know you said you had to speak with your husband first. Do you want me to follow kind of tomorrow, same time, or end of the week?
He doesn't get home from work until around 1 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we don't have a lot of time in the morning. But we'll talk in the morning. And we could follow up with you. If he wants to talk to you, I guess he could call you.
Yeah.
If you had further questions than that. But we should definitely follow up by Thursday,
Okay.
At the latest.
Yeah. Of course. Well, awesome, Carol. It sounds like we got everything ready to go. I just need to shoot you over that offer. Do you have any more questions for me?
No, I don't. I can't think of any.
Okay, well, if you do, feel free to give me a call or a text. I'm always available.
Okay, that sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carol. You have a good rest of your day, and I will be calling you on Thursday.
It sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you. You have a good one. Bye. Boom. Sound like she was, we just got to get husband to get on board, but it's not a good call. I got to get this offer going. You guys got any questions about that one? Nothing? You're on it.
Sweet. And then, yeah, I just wanted to reiterate too. So, for all of you guys listening to that, hopefully you can, that was definitely a higher level call. The call was teed up for him. She knew he would be calling, and kind of, a general idea of the structure of it, but it just goes to show like how important getting the 4 pillars are, right? So if you didn't notice, he got the price is easy, right? We know what she needs to sell for, what the home's generally worth, her loan balance. So the price is easy. That's one of your 4 pillars. The next one was the motivation, right? So that's such an important piece. It's probably the most important piece out of the 4 pillars to get, right? So it sounds like she said, she's not in a major rush to sell. It's more of a want to sell rather than a need, right? Like her husband is just commuting a ton, but if he had to commute for another year or 2 years, I don't think that would totally kill them. Just moving closer to work. It sounds like she doesn't necessarily work. She's on disability. So it's really up to the husband, is what it sounds like, especially since he's the one on the loan. It's really him making the trek to work every day. So it sounds like he's really the key partner that we're going to have to get in touch with, which is always important, right? Like if you're just talking to one party, but the husband's the one that actually makes the decisions, or vice versa. We actually see it very often where the wife is the one that makes the decision. So always making sure you get both parties involved and they're on the same page about everything. And then timeline, right? That's their 3rd pillar. What did she say? 45 days is kind of like a minimum of what she would need. Sounds like they're a little bit older, so obviously they would need to clean some stuff up, get the house ready, plan their next move, all that good stuff. So we have some time on it. And then condition, right? We have pictures, but they're a year old. So just getting any updates that she's done. Sounds like a new sewer scope or a new sewer line. So that's all good information. So we got the 4 pillars perfectly, and then set a time to follow up with her. Got her email to go ahead and send her an offer. So that's just like the perfect phone call for you guys. So again, this will be recorded on YouTube. If you want to go back and just re-listen to that, how that type of phone call can go. There's so many different ways it can go, but building a generally good rapport with the seller, getting the 4 pillars, getting an email so that way you can get them more information, and then setting a time to follow up. So that was just a perfect call. Perfect. Yeah. Right on, Carol. Awesome, guys. So yeah, we're going to transition. Kevin said, what info are you sending to the seller post call to better explain creative? Good question, Kevin. So this is really why I think we stand out, from a lot of other sub 2 wholesalers, is because of these emails that we send and the info that we provide, right? So I've seen a lot of other wholesalers emails because their seller sends them to me and says, well, here's the other offer I got. And it's like, their offer is in the body of the email. There's no other attachments. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So what we send them is a letter of intent, and it's a very simple 2-page document, but really all the info is on the first page. It's like, here's our purchase price. Here's our down payment. Here's your loan that we're taking over subject to. You will no longer have this expense. If there's a hybrid or a seller finance, we'll put that. And then we just list the terms, right? If we default past this many days, you'll get the property back. We try to handle objections ahead of time with that letter of intent. We also send the frequently asked questions. So this is a document that we put together just because, again, yeah, we've gotten these questions so many times that it's a lot easier to send this document than handle every objection every time. So JR asks where he can find that. I don't know if it's in the Discord. I do know that it's in the Facebook. And I can share that too. It is branded to us. So obviously, if you guys are out there sending this out, they're going to ask, well, who is this company? Who's Legacy Property Solutions? So that is frequently asked questions. Where is that? Common questions and concerns regarding selling on terms, subject to FAQ right here. So that's this one. So you can go ahead and download that one as well. So you have that document. And then we also send them our credibility letter. That document we don't share, obviously, because it's branded to us. It shows deals that we've recently bought, sellers that have bought from us. So we don't want anybody just using that for their own deals. And then it also has a proof of funds. It has references from our past sellers, closing attorneys, all that good stuff. And then we also send them our lenders info. My guy, Joey Bag of Loans, Joseph Gonzalez. We call him Joey Bag of Loans. He is very knowledgeable when it comes to subject to. He's a veteran. He's an investor. He really understands subject to and how it affects someone's buying power in the future. So we always refer to them just so that way, they can hear it from an actual licensed lender. Hey, I can sell this subject to, leave the loan in place and still go get another loan. He'll tell them, yep, here's how we do it. We get the lease agreement. It's called a departing residence, all that good stuff. So just gives a lot of good information to the seller, so that way they can make a fully informed decision from there. So yeah, hopefully that helps, guys. I definitely recommend, saving this video, go back to the YouTube and rewatch this if you're out there making live calls to sellers and agents. Sweet. So like I said, we want to transition and kind of show you guys some of the recent deals we've closed, and just as an example, show you like what a good deal looks like, and what we're looking for, and why we close 7 to 10 deals a month is because we know what we're looking for, what areas to target, all that good stuff. So I actually needed Joey for this one, but I'll show you guys one. Let me see if I can pull it up in my CRM. Actually, I might just be able to do this. So I'm gonna pull up an underwriting calculator. Again, this is also in the Facebook group. Let me show you guys real quick where you can find it. So if you go to Facebook, go to files, this calculator right here, deal or no deal. So it's a spreadsheet, it's an Excel, you can save it as a Google Sheet, whatever. This is a great spreadsheet that will show you how to underwrite a cash flowing rental property, and it can be cash, creative, it doesn't really matter. So
Okay.
I'll show you guys that in just a second. Let me pull that up. So tons of resources for you guys to go check out in the Facebook. That's why we push it. So I'm gonna show you close deals. So the first one I'm going to show you is a Section 8 property that we bought last year. Management agreement, everything. Let me find his mortgage statement.
Repairs, that is it. And you just looking up this one then?
Okay, so I think I could show this part of it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and share screen. So I'll show you guys. So this is a property that we bought in Cleveland, Ohio last year. This was a Section 8 property, and we kept this in our portfolio as just a long-term rental. It's a Section 8. If you're not familiar with Section 8, it's essentially the government's answer to affordable housing. So the government subsidizes low-income individuals and helps them pay their rent. And this is a guaranteed way to get a monthly check backed by the government. Now, Section 8 typically, I say typically because it's not written in stone, but typically we're targeting homes under pretty much $80,000. So we're looking for 3 or 4 bedroom homes under $80,000. And if you're in markets like Seattle, California, Colorado, you're like, they make those? They do. So you can check out Cleveland, Ohio, St. Louis, Missouri, other parts of the country where, homes are just cheap, right? The homes don't really appreciate in these areas, but they make great cash flowing rentals. So this lead actually came from a text campaign. The address, if you guys care about it, it's 2943 East 66th Street. You can look it up on PropStream. We own this. So I'll show you my underwriting calculator and why this was such a good deal for us. So the property was already rented out. There was already a Section 8 tenant in there. So it was already cash flowing. We didn't have to go and get a new tenant. So this was the beautiful part of it. So our monthly rent was $1,300. That's for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house in Cleveland, Ohio. We're getting $1,300 in rent. Now our PITI, as I was just showing you guys, right? We bought this subject to, again, this came from a text campaign. He owed roughly $44,000 on his loan at 4.5% interest. Yep, 4.5% interest with Mr. Cooper. His monthly payment, principal, interest, tax and insurance total was $405 a month. So PITI, $405 a month. So there's a spread of $895 a month. Now, another reason why Section 8 is amazing is because you can ask every year for a 5% increase in their rent. And again, it's paid by the government. So you're not asking your tenant to increase their rent, you're asking the government. And it's typically, as far as I'm aware, it's always approved. So we can ask, we can likely get this up to 1350 this year, 1400 next year, 1475 the next year. So it just keeps growing and our payment stays the same. Obviously, tax and insurance pending, but
Yeah.
taxes don't tend to go up that much in Ohio. So
Sure.
now seller's cash. So we got into this deal for roughly 25,000. So we offered the seller 25,000 minus his loan of 44. So we bought this property for roughly, I think it was actually like 71. So maybe he came with a little bit of cash, or no, his loan was higher at the time. So we got into it for roughly $71,000 total, took over his loan as sub two, about 46,000. And then we put $25,000 down. Now there was no arrears. There was no assignment fee because we locked it up. Closing costs were, I think, around 2,000. They were very minimal. Renovation, we didn't have to put any work into this property initially. We probably put some work into it since we bought it. Actually, Rachel would probably know, but I think it's less than a few $1,000s. We'll call it $3,000. Monthly maintenance, zero. Marketing, zero. Okay, so our total entry fee, call it $30,000 after closing costs, the cash to the seller, minimal repairs that we had to make. And then we went ahead and borrowed this $30,000. We got into this deal with zero money out of pocket. This is what PACE teaches, right? You're not going to find every deal where you hear these investors saying, I got into it for no money. That's because they leveraged other people's money, right? It's very rare you get into deals with zero down. It's possible, but not very often. So we borrowed this money, $30,000 at roughly 10% interest. At roughly 10% interest. So our private money lender, we make them a payment of roughly $250 a month. That's interest only. So they make $250 for doing nothing. So it's a great deal for them. This is actually a family member of mine and they make a lot of income. They don't have they don't have time on their side to go out and do this, but they have the money to go in and leverage. So we got 10% interest, $250 a month. Now this is our operating expenses. We calculate this at 15%. So our property management is actually at 9%. And then you can account for vacancy, but with Section 8, it's another reason why I really love them is because these tenants typically they wait on a waiting list. Once they're approved, that can take 6 months to a year. Then they're going to sit on a waiting list for another 1 to 2 years, right? So once they get put into the property, the average tenant lifetime for a tenant on Section 8 is about 8 years. So they're going to stay there for a while. So our vacancy rate is very low. And then same thing, there's such a high demand in these areas like Cleveland, St. Louis, where if this property did go vacant, we could likely get it filled in a month. So vacancy, I would say, is maybe 2%. We're at 11. Maintenance management or maintenance capex, all that other stuff, I would say adds up to the rest of the 15%. So we're counting $195 a month for operating expenses. So we net still $450 a month in net cash flow times 12. We net $5,400 a year. Divide that by your 30,000 at 17.9%. So we have a 17.9%. But realistically, because we got into this deal for none of our own money, it's actually an infinite cash on cash return. We're making $450 on no money out of pocket. Now, this is not an appreciation play at all. This home will likely still be worth $70,000 in the next 10 years. Maybe it goes up 10 grand, but we definitely don't count on it. But it is good for depreciation. So we have a big wholesale operation. So we definitely need to offset some of that income by depreciating the asset. So that saves us a lot of money on taxes as well. So this is why this is such a great deal for us is like, still 30,000, right? Like I have a deal right now in Colorado Springs. It's sub 2 that you could buy for 20,000. So just because, and it's a $500,000 house, right? So just because our down payment was so high, when you're looking at it like a percentage, right? We technically put down what, 30%. We're okay doing that because the cash on cash makes sense. Now, if I'm looking at a sub 2 and I'm putting down 30% and it doesn't cash flow, then it's not a good deal. So hopefully that makes sense. And then again, those of you guys that are out there hunting for deals. We are end buyers. We are buying Section 8s in Cleveland, St. Louis. We're looking for the best of deals because we're so good at finding them on our own. But if you can bring us a deal, we'd love to get you paid. Again, right now we're specifically targeting Cleveland, Ohio, just because we have property management contractors, boots on the ground set up out there. But we are also looking at expanding in St. Louis, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. But really for these numbers to pencil, we're looking for homes under 80,000, and they tend to need to be 3 to 4 bedrooms. And then we'll even look at cash deals because we can go and get DSCR loans at 8% interest, but they still make sense, right? Like even if our loan was at 8% on this, we'd still probably cash flow instead of 450, maybe 350. Like really not that big of a difference when you're dealing with a loan so low. So yeah, just want to show you guys this one. Let me see if there's any questions I missed. Alfredo Sean, I think yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, Alfredo. Actually, I think he just went and looked at it an hour ago. Terrell, how do we have access to this calculator? Terrell, you must have been sneezing or you came in late, but I'll show you again. So if you come into the Facebook group, scroll over to this files tab right here. It will be right here, deal or no deal. So this works for not only Section 8s, but Airbnbs, long-term rentals, midterm rentals. It's not a flipping calculator. It is a buy and hold calculator, but it definitely is a great calculator. So feel free to download that and play around with it. Okay, perfect. And then Joey, do you want to show them your Arizona deal? I'll go ahead and shut up.
Okay, let me share my screen. I'm not going to use that little calculator like Dylan did because we're wholesaling this one. And we already got it assigned. Let me just show you how I found it. Okay. See my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So we and Dylan have curated this filter. I've updated it a million times. But I will let you see it again. Like I always say, every time I show this filter, it's worth $1 million, literally. Um, so I just literally filter low equity expireds, right? They don't have much equity and they tried to sell and they couldn't. I came to Maricopa County. Let's see if it's still on. That's what I literally did. Went one by one and skip traced all these guys and then found, boom, this guy right here. All the other people were telling me, no, screw off, buzz off. Maybe I got an offer here. And this guy was really, really into. He was like, dude, yeah, I'm gonna lose money with the sale. Maybe I'll make $5,000 if I get an agent who's nice about their commissions. And so funny enough, I had this guy at 3K to the seller to start. It was 3K to him. We're gonna take over his mortgage, and I was gonna try to wholesale it. But then he calls me back. He's like, dude, my wife tells me no, we can't do it unless you get 15,000 in our pocket. So I went and did my numbers. I'm like, okay, look, let's see. If we put 15K, so they owe 356. We put 15K, so 356, 1, 2, 3 plus 15,000. That's 371. I know my buyers usually want to get into a property at 10%, maybe 12% entry. So I know I could still sell this at a 40K entry, i.e., I can make 20, 25,000 as an assignment fee. So I was like, all right, let's do it. I'll give you 15K. I sent him the offer. He's ghosting me. He's ghosting me. All right, this is why the fortune is in the follow-up. Because literally, if I didn't keep following up with this guy, somebody else would have snagged him from me. So I would call this guy every day. He's like, dude, my wife still ain't budging. He even told me that he wanted to divorce her because she wouldn't take her offer. He was like, dude, if she doesn't sign your contract, I honestly think I might file a divorce. I was like, oh, we don't have to do that. But anyway, I was like, dude, what do we have to do to get this done? And he calls me back. He's like, you know what? 20K. So he just keeps upping the ante. He's all 20K in our pocket and we'll get it done. And I was like, in my math. I was like, okay, if I sold it for a 40K entry, I could still make a 20K assignment fee. So like, all right, dude, let's do it. 20K. I sent them the the offer. Um, they waited, they still weren't signing. I was like, hey man, just wondering when your wife's gonna sign because he signed in like 8 seconds. Like I saw that his sign was finalized in like literally 2 minutes. And then he told me, he's like, dude, she's just staring at the screen. Just give her till the morning. So anyway, she signs in the morning. Boom. Now we have a deal, right? And this is why it's a deal. Let me go to this mortgage statement. It's a 3.22% interest rate. His payment total, I think, was like $2,000. So this is his principal and interest. Is that so? Don't always take that number. You still got to add taxes and insurance. And I think after taxes and insurance, he sent me a mortgage statement. His payment was $2,000 flat. All the rent in the area is 2,400, 2,500. Midterm rentals around 3,500, 4,500 a month. So that right there, I know, boom, I got a deal. I can have somebody come into this property for 40K and they can still make 400 to $1,500 a month. So my buyer is going to like this, and they can wrap this and maybe make 2,000 a month net by making that interest rate like 7%. So that's how I know this was a deal. Now, if this number said 6%, net payment said 2,800, and the loan balance is 210, and he wanted 350 for it, that's not a deal. I wouldn't even call it, right? But he's got the low interest, he has low equity, and a low payment. So obviously, low interest equals low payment, but not always in Texas. So remember that. If you're looking at a Texas deal, low interest doesn't always mean a low payment because their taxes are insane. But anyways, that right there. So I got it locked up, right? 20K. I advertised it everywhere. I was getting blown up. If that's the thing, if you have a deal in Arizona and it's a good deal, it's gonna sell in like I'm telling you an hour. And I had 40 people hit me up for the one, people outbidding, and I ended up assigning it to Tyler Townsley for my entry I asked for 40,000. So we're gonna make a $20,000 assignment fee, and 20 is gonna go to the seller, 20 is gonna come to us. We're gonna sell that piece of paper, Tyler, and they're gonna go do whatever they're gonna do with it. Um, that literally all came from this filter right here. And just smiling and dialing is what I like to call it. Going person by person and finding one. So I just kind of want to show you one that's not a deal. So this filter works, right? But it doesn't, PropStream isn't a genius. So here's one right here. They owe 358 and they tried to sell for 432. I could already tell you just by looking at those numbers, that's probably not a deal because PropStream was wrong. So let's say they did sell for 432 times 0.9. I've showed you guys this calculation a million times, but if you want to see what somebody's going to make if they have something listed on market, take their purchase price and times it by 0.9 and take that number and minus it by their loan. That's what they're going to make most of the time. I'd say 80, 90% of the time, that's what they're going to make. So here's 380. They owe what, 358, whatever. They're already going to make 30 grand on market and the property may be worth 40. I don't even want to waste these people's time because I'm gonna have to overbid. Right. So I'm saying, okay, I'll put 40 in your pocket, and now I have to sell this for over 40 for me to make money if I'm gonna wholesale it. And I know I'm just gonna screw that seller up because I'm gonna tie him up because I overbid. I got in over my head. I got excited. Somebody wants a sub two, and it's way too much money and it won't sell. Whereas our Holmes Ave, the one that we sold in literally 20 minutes, he's got no equity and he's got an awesome payment. That's literally all you want to look for. And especially expired listings are the best because there's no agent anymore, so less money to fork out. And they already had their hand raised. They wanted to sell. Hey, I want to sell, but I couldn't. Nobody bought my house. Nobody gave me my offer. Um, but yeah, that's our most recent Arizona wholesale is Homes Ave right there. You could probably go. I usually don't ever post them on the free group, but if you're in sub two, you probably see me post it, and there's about 40 comments underneath it. And then I even got yelled at by Tyler. He's like, dude, what the hell are you posting this on the sub 2 for? Why don't you just send it to me directly? We don't have to put it to the world. Um, but yeah, that's a clear cut example of an easy way to make $20,000. Find a property like this, talk to him on the phone like how you heard me talk to that lady, and or just send the deal in and we'll get it done and you can make a portion of that fee and you don't have to do any of the work. You just kind of tee it up until you figure out how to do it. That's the awesome thing about JVing with us is you'll learn how I did all of this. You'll go through all the motions and you'll still get paid. And that's the thing is we pay people on their first deal. Pace literally told us, like to our face, do not pay people on their first deal. He said it verbatim many times. He's like, you're teaching them how to do what you spent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, years to learn, and you're gonna pay them for it. And I'm like, yeah, I'll still pay you. I still always get people paid, even if it's your first deal. So that's kind of the advantage of working with us as well as you got to learn how to get this deal to the finish line and get paid for it. Um, Robert's got a question. What's up, man?
Yeah, thanks, Joey. I just wanted to go back a little bit and thank you for that awesome presentation. So I've been calling various both sellers and agents. I understand that during our initial conversations a few months back, you were saying that when I was very new, if the seller is at least open to creative, then we can bring the deal to you, I guess, or you maybe call that a lead. But Dylan mentioned about being under contract. Now, does that mean that the seller has accepted you? I will have negotiated whatever terms with them.
No,
so
you don't
they,
have to bring it under contract. No.
Oh,
And
no.
also, them being open to creative is kind of maybe a little vague, right? They could be open to creative, right? But they want 50% down and a 10% interest rate. I wouldn't even want you to send that in. I want you to still work on your negotiating skills and see if they're what's realistic, right? If they're actually open to creative and they want good terms, then that's a lead. But I've gotten that a lot of times. They're like, they're open to creative and they have 600K equity and they want, 80% of that equity paid out and then they'll carry, $40,000 or something. That's not a deal by any means. So I guess kind of take that with a grain of salt of they're open to creative.
So
Right.
basically, you don't want us to get lost in the weeds as far as the details go.
Say that again?
Maybe just find out if the deal lends itself to sub two or seller financing or cash.
Yeah, of course. Now, if they have low equity and they're open to creative and they got a good interest rate, always send that in because there's always a deal to be made there. But when it gets into where they have a bunch of equity and there's no motivation, they don't really care if they don't need to sell. That's different. That's a tough lead to work, and that's kind of what I call a WOT, a waste of time.
Yeah.
But no, low equities, open to creative that's kind of the bread and butter. I don't like to mess around with high equities unless somebody brings it to me or like they literally that's a specific property I'm looking for or it's stated in the listing terms like hey they're open to sell or carry, which those are still usually goofy ones. But I just I don't attack ones with a lot of equity. I just where the money is on these low equities, right? I can get those under contract and sell them quick. The other ones you kind of play, cat and mouse with the seller for 3 months and then they ghost you or something. Then I
Yeah.
wasted all my
Yeah.
time on a terrible lead. You know what I mean? That's why I
Yeah.
stick to what works. Low equity, on and off markets, and good interest rates. Those are the bread and butter creative deals.
Thanks for the
Or
clarity,
creative deals.
Joey.
Cash deals different, but I'm speaking strictly creative. But I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. But thanks for the clarity. Yep.
Yep, no problem. Sweet. Thanks, Robert.
I've got some questions in the chat.
Sweet. Let me stop sharing. Let's see. What do you say? Patrick says, what is the document called? Wait, is that no. What was the math involved to estimate the profit for an on-market deal multiplying by 9? So, like I said, in America, it costs 8 to 11% to sell your house. Right? You got realtor commissions, you got closing costs, you got concessions, right? Inspection objections, whatever that may be. It's usually around 10%. to sell your house. So that 0.9 is taking away 10% from their listing price, right? So if they're listed for 400,000, I already know it's probably going to cost them 40 grand to sell it. So I take that 40 grand off by using that 0.9. And then I take that number and minus it by their loan. And if that has a nice gap between me making a good assignment fee / them making more money with the sale, that's a good deal. But that's what I use the 0.9 for, is to take away 10%, because that's what it usually costs to sell your house on market in America. Hope that answered your question, Patrick. Sweet. Any questions about that deal? Oh, and that closes next week too. So little 2-week turn.
Yeah. Jacob asked me, he sent me a private DM, but he said he's got a lead in Indiana. They want us to submit an offer. Would you like to go over the numbers? Actually, I kind of would. I like, yeah, let me show you guys what I'm looking at. So, yeah, Jacob, if you want to DM me the address, I won't share the address, obviously, but I'll just give you, like the numbers of what I see. And if I think that's even worth your time to send an offer. And then if it is, obviously we can help you send the offer. So if you want to DM me the address, I can look up if it's a creative deal, cash deal, all that good stuff. Then we can kind of underwrite a deal live. Sweet. And then obviously we do look at cash deals too. Like if you guys are out there hunting for cash deals, we obviously look at those. There's so many resources to know how to underwrite a cash deal. Pace has done it, Jamil, all those guys have showed how many different ways you can underwrite a cash deal, but it's pretty simple. So we're not going to go into too much depth of that. Okay, so let's see. So Fishers, Indiana have the mortgage balance and interest rates, what they're looking for cash. So yeah, DM me all that as well too, if you could, Jacob. So let me look at this. I'm going to pull it up in PropStream and just see what I immediately see off the bat. So there's obviously other stipulations, right? Like I've never heard of Fishers, Indiana. I'm going to look it up right now, but we're looking for low equity, low interest rates. Obviously, the newer, the nicer the house, the better, but we're also not looking at properties where there's nobody that lives there, right? So we're not looking for rural homes. Okay, so Fishers, Indiana looks like suburb of Indianapolis. So this is a good lead based on location, at least so far. So yeah, definitely I wouldn't waste too much time if you guys live in a small town or you're hunting in small towns. You're going to have a lot less competition, sure, but you're not going to have very many buyers to sell those deals to, not very many tenants that those buyers can rent to. So 100%, make sure you guys are looking, anytime you get a lead or you're looking at leads or whatever the case may be, just make sure you're not hunting in really small towns. We tend to fish in populations above 400,000. Simple Google search. I like demographics.com, but I like to look up the county. So Fishers is in Hamilton County. I could just look up, population of Hamilton County, Indiana. And most likely it's probably 400,000, but it's right next to Indianapolis. So I don't even have to look that up. I know that there's a large population that lives there. So, right off the bat, I can see that this is an on-market property, which when we're dealing with creative, I don't care if it's on or off market at all, because I know no matter what, there could potentially be a deal there. When you're looking at cash deals and the property needs some work, right? They're listed below market. It's still so tough to get a good cash deal, fix and flip when your property's on market, right? Because even though they might be listed under market, they're still way over where you would need the contract to wholesale it, or even where the fix and flipper would need to make a profit on it. So I tend to, I'll glance at on market fix and flips when I get a lead for a cash deal, but I don't tend to look at them too often because they tend to be 50,000, 100,000 over asking. So, or over where I need it at least. So, okay. So he says, asking 339, $274,000 remaining balance. PropStream is wrong. 6.875 interest rate. Agent wants 4%. Seller wants 30K. Still trying to negotiate. PITI is 2,119, and average rent for long term is 2,200, and midterm is 3,000. Okay, so right off the bat, right? decently low equity. So he told me that the loan balance is, or they're asking 339. So just from what Joey told me, I'm going to take 339 times 0.9. I'm going to take basically $33,900 off. So that leaves me at 305,000. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract their loan balance of 200. I'm just going to round up 275,000. So that leaves them with about 30K in equity. And that seems like that's what the seller wants. The seller wants their 30K in equity. So it's totally not unreasonable for them to ask that 30,000. But that puts me right at about what, like 8.5% entry just in the seller. So I know when I go to wholesale a deal like this, right, from what Joey said earlier, usually the most I can get as a total entry fee on a creative deal is going to be around 10%, maybe 12% if it's a new home in a great area with a low interest rate, or if there's like a huge cash on cash spread between, you know, what they can get for rent. But, and then right off the bat, right, 6.875% interest rate is very high. I think interest rates right now, if a veteran has a 800 credit score and it's perfect, my lender says he can still get people loans in the high fives. Pretty rare that you still see those, but still 6.5% loans are being put out there. And then obviously 7.5 is kind of the standard, but 6.875 doesn't immediately scream deal, but that doesn't mean that it's not. Now, if you're telling me, if you're sending me a $500,000, $600,000 home and it has a 6.8% interest rate, I'm just going to shoot that down immediately. It's just way too expensive. I know there's no exit strategies that make sense on a $600,000 home with a 6-7% interest rate. But this home being pretty, you know, cheap, middle of the road, like average home price in America, I think is around 400,000, give or take, somewhere around there. So this is below that. So even though it's a high interest rate, the payment's still only $2,200, right? So, or 2,120, which is pretty good, right? Like that's still affordable. Average rent is 2,200. So it doesn't really make sense as a long-term cash flow play, but I would say probably 90% of the deals, if not more, that we sell don't make sense as long-term cash flow. And that's another thing too. Another really good point for you guys to know is like the vast majority of deals don't make sense as long-term cash flowers. Really, that's why we target $80,000 homes. Cause then at that point, I don't care if my interest rate's 8%, 2%, I'm still cash flowing. But once you start getting into the 400,000s, your payment's going to be 2,500, rent's going to be 2,400. It's not going to cash flow. But there's other strategies like midterm, Airbnb, wrapping, all that good stuff. So I would say immediately now, also you have the agent wanting 4%. So Jacob, that's where it's going to come down to some negotiating skills, brother. So, right, that agent's listing agreement is between the seller. We offer to pay the agent's listing agreement, and we offer them typically 2%. Definitely no more than 3% usually. So let's see, they want 339, or he wants, what is that, 274? He wants 305. That would be your purchase price. It would be 275 plus 30. So 305 times 0.04. So that seller wants $12,200 plus the agent plus the seller wants 30 grand. So right off the bat, your entry fee is 42 grand. You're gonna have a very hard time selling a 6.8 interest rate for even 47 grand, right? Even just to make a $5,000 assignment fee, it's gonna be, I would say it's probably next to impossible. He said the property hasn't been selling and they're trying to move quickly. And that's another thing too. Like there's a huge difference between motivation and distress, right? So really, like I'm looking for motivation. Obviously, like the first call that Joey made this morning, right? There's motivation there. There's not distress, right? They can stay. The guy just has to commute 45 minutes every morning. Not a big deal. It's not like, you know, there's a death, there's a divorce, there's a job loss, there's a foreclosure, whatever. Those are distress. So, you know, when you're looking for deals, like you're talking 20, 30, $40,000 assignment fees, those are going to come from distressed sellers, not necessarily just motivated sellers. let's see how long this property's been listed for 81 days too. That's another thing too. There's so many people that tell you to target homes that have been sitting on the market for a while. And I kind of have the opposite outlook on this, because someone that's been on market for 100 days might scream motivation to a lot of people, but if someone was truly motivated, they wouldn't have time to sit on the market for 100 days, right? That's a person that thinks they're motivated, but really they're motivated by money, or they want to move closer to a job, but it's not really a distressed factor. So just because someone's been on market very long doesn't mean they want to move quickly. If this guy wanted to move quickly, money's not the answer here, right? It's time frame. Like, you know, I can't get you that 30 grand, but I can close in 2 weeks. If that guy was really motivated, he'd take that offer. But yeah, I would say, Jacob, right off the bat, you definitely have to negotiate. And this one's tough because, you know, his asking's 339. He's not selling, obviously. So if he drops to 329, 10K price cut, then he's only making $20,000. But
Here's what I found.
oh, my Siri's acting up. But then if they price cut 10,000, maybe they sell it traditionally, right? And they're not going to want to go with a sub 2 offer. So this one is a little bit higher equity than I'd like to see, and a higher interest rate, to be honest. I tend to not look at anything higher than a 5%, 5.5% interest rate. I have a deal right now actually in Gentry, Arkansas. They have a 5.6% interest rate. Definitely higher than I'd like, but I'm getting into it for less than $10,000, and it's a $300,000 home. That's total 10 grand, right? So yeah, Jacob, I would say you either need to get into that for, Jacob says, what would make sense? I would say, yeah, I would say I wouldn't. So like, I just think this is a $300,000 home, right? It's 300 grand. For me, I try not to be into a deal for more than 7% tops, because then I can still add a 3% commission for myself, which is still not very much, right? Like 300 grand times 0.03, 9 grand, still a good assignment fee, but for all the work you're putting in, all that good stuff, it's definitely, you know, there's better deals out there. So I would say you don't want to get into this for more than really 5%, but if you got into it for 7, that's 21,000 total. So however you split that up, that's 15 to the seller, 6 to the agent, 21 to the seller. He fires his agent, whatever the case may be. But I wouldn't get into this from no more than 2,100. I think you could sell it even with that interest rate, because your rent and your monthly payment are very close. So if someone could figure out rent by the room model, someone could wrap it possibly at an 8% interest rate. There's ways an investor could make money, but the margins are pretty thin. You may have a tough time selling this deal. So you probably have to sell this, to be honest, under 10%, right? Like if I know I'm dealing with a property that has a higher interest rate, for example, the deal I have in Gentry, Arkansas, with a 5.6%, again, it's a $260,000 home, 270,000, but I'm pushing it out to my investors at 20 grand because I know it's a higher interest rate. It is, to be honest, it's a little bit more rural than I'd like as well too. So it's rural. It is a brand new home though. That's why I like it. It's a brand new home, 5.6% rate. So I'm confident I could sell it at 20 grand. So that's only 7% entry, give or take. And I still can make a $10,000 assignment fee. So yeah, I would say for you, try not to get into it for more than 15 tops, which obviously you're very far off of that right now. So it may be a waste of time. Not a bad idea to put that in your CRM and follow up with them in a month. Let them sit on market. Let them go through a 10K price drop and still not sell, right? Now they're looking at another 5, 10K price drop. And now that seller's down to something reasonable like 10 grand. So that would be my advice. Terrell says, what is the 10% accounting for this calculation? Closing, agent fees. So it doesn't account for closing costs. So that's a great question, actually, Terrell. So we don't include closing costs or transaction coordinating fees. It's typically agent, seller, assignment fee, and then any arrears or liens that need to be paid off. But closing costs are just separate fees on top. We don't really count for those. But yeah, if you're looking at deals now, if you're looking at a brand new home, 2-3% interest rate, in a great location, right, you may be able to get 12, maybe 15% total entry fee. Like you get a great assignment fee. But if you're looking at older homes and not so great areas with higher interest rates, you got to sell those deals at 5% entry fee, 7% entry fee. So just take that with a grain of salt, knowing where you need to lock the deals up. But yeah, Jake, I think that's a great example of a lead that may look like a lead on the surface because it is lowish equity. There's motivation there because they've been on market, but the interest rate's high and their equity is a little bit higher than I'd like to see. Yeah, I wouldn't say you probably need to get into that for no more than 15 grand total. So immediately I would just do a pull away and say, hey, I can't match anywhere close to that. Put it in the CRM, follow up in a month, 2 months, 3 months. Hopefully they get rid of their agent. They just give up on selling, call that seller directly and say, hey man, I'll give you 10 grand and a popsicle and we'll close in 2 weeks. Then you might have a deal. And then you can sell it for 20, still make 10. That seller still gets 10, all that good stuff. Sweet. Right on. Appreciate it, Robert. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff as like what we're looking for as far as good deals, both creative, sub 2 deals and even, like buy and hold rentals. And then I'm going to let Rachel jump on here and talk to you guys about some of the meetups that we have coming up soon in Colorado. Because I forget what they are.
Hey guys, yeah, so I put the meetups in the chat. So we have a few upcoming in May. Our monthly meetup in Denver is May 4th at the Monkey Barrel. We're gonna do a Kentucky Derby themed party. Angie's all excited for that. And then following Monday is Power Hour in Colorado Springs. So if you guys want to help learn how to call agents, kind of like what we do here, but in person, come to that. And then May 19th is our annual Red Rocks meetup, and Pace will be there in town. So it would be May 19th. So those are upcoming meetups for May. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, that's it.
Sweet. Right on. All right. Thank you guys so much for showing up. We love doing these Zooms. We love teaching. We love giving value. Hopefully you guys saw some of the value that we have in our Facebook group with all those files and documents. So check those out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Come back and watch this video if we went too quick. I know sometimes we've been doing this for so long that things just make so much sense to us where brand new people, you're like, what is an entry fee? What are you talking about? So come back, watch this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Definitely get in the Discord, ask questions, all that good stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for showing up. In the meantime, if you're working on leads, just like the one Jacob presented to us, that's a perfect lead where you're like, I just don't know if this is a good deal, right? Like, should I lock this up? Should I not? Let me get another set of eyes. Send it to us, right? Like, we may not even need a JV. I hate to say that because like, it's just you want to just get a second pair of eyes on it, but I'll look at it, right? Like, and we'll give you our advice. Like, yeah, I wouldn't get into that for more than 15 grand. Terrell, I think, has one more question. He says, no worries. So if an on market is 200,000, I'm using the 0.9 method to backtrack the math. That's 20,000 accounts for what? That 20,000. So 0.9, right? We're taking 10% off. Out of that 10%, you can account 6% is like the standard nationwide commission that most agents are shooting for, right? They want 3% and they're going to offer 3% to the buyers. So 6% is automatically taken off for agents. Some agents are doing 5.5%, 4%, but if I'm a seller, I want the best agent, they're charging 6%. Now they can account for another give or take 2% in closing costs. And then maybe another 2% in buyer's concessions, right? So unless you're selling a brand new home, right? There's going to be things wrong with it, right? Like my personal home's a 2001 build. There's definitely some things wrong with it. So if a buyer comes in there, they're going to beat me up. They're going to say, hey, your AC units are 20 years old. I want you to replace those, or I want $5,000 as a concession. Or, hey, interest rates are insane. I can only buy this house if you help me buy down my interest rate. So those are buyer's concessions. That could equal another 2%, 4%, maybe another 6%. So again, on average, it's going to take a seller 8 to 12% to sell a home. We meet in the middle at 10%. So you're exactly right, Sewell. Just take 20,000, whatever, 10% off. That's what that seller is going to pay to sell their home on market. So absolutely, absolutely. Joey said, I won't look for free. Dylan will though. Yeah. Sweet guys. Hopefully you loved it. Got some value out of it. Again, if you're working on leads, you need a second pair of eyes. If you send in a good deal, man, we will show you guys, we will hold your hand from steps A to Z, how to get that deal closed, and we will still pay you for it. Like Joey said, literally Pace put out a video. He was talking to Maj. If you guys know Maj might even be in here, but he said Maj sold his first deal. He had help from sub 2 students that had closed several deals. And he asked Maj, he said, if they showed you how to lock that deal up, find a buyer, everything, and you got paid nothing for it, would you still be happy? And Maj said, yeah, right? Like the proof of concept is so much more important than whatever you can make, right? So hopefully that gives you guys some value. We will be back here on next Tuesday, same time, 4 p.m. We might go over a little bit of a different topic. We might do some live calls again. We usually come up with it the day before. So hope to see you guys again. Hope to see you in the Discord and Facebook, and we will see you next Tuesday. Peace. See you guys.